Hello, this is Black Country Blokes chewing the fat.
Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk, but in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the moms, especially my own. Let's get going.
Listen.
I've been, yeah. This is the Black Country Blokes chewing the fat. With me, Kev Dillon, Craig Pinches, Lee Cadman and Aaron June. Now, were you aware that 78% of the world's suicide is men? 78%. In a report that Aaron read just before we come on, 78% of the world's suicide is men. And what was it? We are more likely to die of suicide by the age of 25 and 45 than cancer. And how mad is that? And how many people do we know? I think the sad state is now we've all met someone who has done it. What Dan Brown from Tough Enough to Care said, have completed suicide. They haven't attempted it, they've done the deed of suicide. And a lot of it, I mean, some people have got very serious mental ill problems where it hasn't been picked up on. But so many people have got themselves into such a dire strait that they don't think there's a solution. If I'm going to lose the house, my wife's going to leave me, I'm addicted to drugs. But there is so often a way out of it. Unfortunately, in the nation we live in now, and probably in the Times, it's not, that statistic isn't just Great Britain, that is the world. And unfortunately, even though people are so aware of mental health, there isn't many people helping. I've met people who've worked for the police force and been stabbed by a needle, and they've had to wait for ages to get their HIV test back. And they said, would you like counselling? The first time he said no. Second time he says, well, yes, mess me up, because I've had to think about telling my wife and my children that daddy might have hepatitis or HIV. And I went, okay, but about in a year's time you can have counselling. And that's not just with the coppers.
It's too late then, isn't it?
Too late. Yeah. And unfortunately, this is the problem with counselling. Not with the counsellors. With the time it takes you to get it. You're abused. Okay, you've got to go and live in your own head for 6 to 10 to 12 to 18 months. And if you are in that dark room that I talk about so long, further you go in there, harder it is to come out. And that's why, one of the main reasons why we started this.
Absolutely.
Have you personally, you haven't got to say names, have you had anyone in your lives that have completed suicide?
I know of recent, I know someone, but going back to that statistic, it is mad, because when I think back, I know a few males that have done it, and only one female that I've known personally that have done it, you know what I mean? And that's, like, so that statistic may not be all that far off. Obviously, it's, we only know what we've read. We can't, like, guarantee the credibility of it, but it, like, thinking back to who I know that have committed suicide, then, you know what I mean, it sort of tallies up. And it is bad, like you say, people have to live in their head for so long. I mean, last year I had a cancer scare, and obviously while I was waiting for the camera, waiting for this and waiting for that, I was just in a daze for so long. And there's sort of no aftercare for the emotional or mind state. Oh, you know what I mean, it could be this, we're waiting on tests. And then you think, man, what am I meant to do? Live my life that, like, for the next 2 months, just thinking, fuck it, if it is, it is. Because it don't work like that. You know, it's like, I was speaking to you the other day about recently my brother's, you know, he's going through what my dad went through, which is bowel cancer. He's recently had a camera, and so far he's got over 200 polyps in the one bit of his bowel. Now he's still having to have to go to work down wherever he works, London or whatever, in that mind state, you know what I mean? So he's still got to go down money, but them think, oh yeah, you're probably going to have your large intestine out. You know, you're 30 years of age, you're probably going to have that out, and send you on your way until your next appointment. You know, it is crazy. So you can see why them statistics would rise, because if there's no, but I mean that's not knocking medical like professions, because that they have no beds when you're critically ill,
let alone care.
let alone, you know what I mean. So
I watched the program one day because I used to think how lucky we are not to live in America. Because in America, if you get caught with cancer, you'd have to lose your house and everything to pay it off.
If you ain't got insurance.
If you haven't got insurance. So you could be, so like my mum and dad, they've raised us, they've sent us off to university, they've done it, and then in the 60s, they have to lose the house to pay for the chemo. But I watched a programme, it was in England, it was on Channel 4, around about Christmas, and there's people in this country who went, I'm self-employed, I got diagnosed with cancer, but I can't work, I can't, then I lose my house.
Well, in truth, even if you're not, like, I have to take time off for Calla, and even at that point, you're losing money. There's only so much time, even if you're employed, that they're going to know you. Like, in my contract, it states if I have someone close to me die, parents, children, get a week off. A week? I mean, no, you just think, like, you can't even get a funeral in that week.
do you know what?
That's fact. You will
Can't
not
you
get
record
it.
in that in a week, do you know what I mean?
That's not because the other day it was on the radio actually, because normally for like grieving the loss of a child, this was on the radio, BBC 2, and it was about you usually get 3 days off for grieving a child, and they've upped it now to 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
But
You know what I mean?
but if you think
But as I say, I mean, I've unfortunately been to a few funerals recently, and they're all over 2 weeks' time just because of the backlog.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't even get to the funeral
Nah.
in that time.
That's crazy.
But
isn't
even
it?
for like, and it's, I agree with it, like paternity leave, when the dad gets to have time off when he's had his first child or the children. But surely they should respect that if he'd lost the child.
Absolutely.
And some people, I know a lot of people, they're like an ostrich, put their head in the sand and deal with it. Other people need to just sit there and wallow.
Yeah.
We've said it a million times, you've got to find your medicine.
Absolutely.
But how cruel would it be? You lose your mother. I love my mother with all my soul. When she passes, it'll kill me. You know what I mean? But would I have to go back to being normal straight away? Maybe not.
Yeah.
And I think people should have to look after that. And it's the same, one of my very good friends, he was working for his things, and then he got mental health problems, and he admitted he got mental health problems, and his company got rid of him. And nowadays that should be unfair dismissal, but they won't say it was because of that,
I know,
it
of
was
course,
because of
they'll
this.
find something else.
And nowadays we've gone to this thing of, hey, it's okay you're mentally pro. But really, in the real world, not us four, not many of you out there, because I understand that you understand what we're on about. But a lot of these people think, really?
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of women don't necessarily get the jobs that men will, because you're about childbearing age. How long have you been with your partner? Have you got children? Are you planning on having children? In that case, I'll hire Aaron. And they're seeing things that could happen. And I think that's so cruel.
I think it's mad. I think I'm starting to realise lately that I think like a lot of mental illnesses or depression or whatever, I think that comes about being bound to a certain situation. Like there's no, if you've not got the freedom, money's a big anchor for a lot of people. You know, without money, you're pretty much stuffed in this modern world. So, but if you had all the money, and I know a lot of people like Robin Williams and that still suffer, and I'm not saying this to be all end all, but like myself, if I had the freedom to live my life exactly how I wanted to, not be subject to have to go to work, I'd still work because that's like it's in my nature, but not have to do that job for the man because I have to for pittance, you know. And I think that's what gets you fed up and depressed and that.
Oh, that's very similar. As I say, I have to take time off for my daughter, and I feel guilty taking that time off.
Yeah.
If I'm ill myself, I'll get to work. There's no doubt about it. It doesn't matter if I've been throwing up, whatever, I'll get to work because I know I'm already using that time.
But you feel
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
phoning up to say, look, my daughter's ill or whatever, or I'm ill. You know, I try not to phone I don't have many sick days off, only when I'm really sick. You know what I mean? Then you think, I feel bad now because they're going to think I'm lying. But like, but you do feel bad for it.
My case like that, she'll never have a day off. Very poorly over Christmas, and she went, I've got to go. I went, Kate, they don't give a fuck about you. If you drop dead
Yeah,
tomorrow,
probably.
you'll be replaced. in 2 weeks. No, it's right. In 2 weeks, in 2 months, you've forgotten about. So she was really poorly, went in, had to get sent back, she was that poorly. And I went, they don't appreciate you going, and that's the normal world now, isn't it? We feel we have to, but your gaffer don't even fuck about you.
We're just a number, and we can be turned over.
But that's even worse with mental health, because at least if you're turning up to work and you can physically see that you've got a really bad cold, you're being sick, it's easier to say. But if you turn up to work and you look a bit glum, oh yeah, you're at work, mate. You know, there's no physical signs, or not the same physical signs as if you had a cold or sickness, or
you've just had that day agoraphobia or something, and you can't physically leave your door, and then saying like, Dylan, you're late for work. Lee, I can't get out. Well, man up, otherwise Aaron's gonna have your job. And you go, but I'm just having a wobble.
And just on that then, so I think that's a good point, because when I heard that statistic at the beginning, the 78% of it being men, I was thinking to myself, and I remember kind of like, I journal a lot now. I've started journaling in the last few weeks. It really helps kind of clear my head. And as I was writing, I was like, what kind of world have we, and I say we as in everyone, because we've all kind of inputted into the world, manufactured that men are seen no way out, that we have almost created these rules that aren't, the man-made rules. We've all made rules on how a guy should be. A guy shouldn't cry, a guy should, be strong for their family, a guy should be the provider, a guy should, do all of the things that we've just made all these rules. And what happens is, when we do struggle, when we have anxiety, when we have overwhelm, it becomes too much to bear. And then if something goes wrong, you have a bad deal, for example, or you haven't got enough money to cover the bills, or you think you've got an illness on the side, and you're handling all that, and you're thinking, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, I don't want to put that stress on somebody else. This is why, I'm not saying it's the only reason, this is why we're seeing more suicides across men. I just don't feel women necessarily have that stress. I'm sure that they've got hundreds of stress, they've got loads of stresses, I'm not saying that. I'm thinking, as a man, have we created somewhat a society where we put ourselves here thinking bravado is the key, when actually, nah mate, that's not. Like, talking is like strength. Like, when I speak to people, some of the most courageous people in my eyes are the people who say, do you know what, I'm struggling here, mate. Or and they could be tough as anything. They could be, it could be boxers or bodybuilders or whatever you want to call them, but just having that openness to say, actually, I struggle or I cry. I mean, like we touched on briefly just before here, the Kobe thing, it was such a weird thing for me to wake up the next morning. I'm texting the wife, she's on a machine opposite. I was like, I feel like crying here. I was thinking, I don't even know this guy, but it affected me reading all the stories and everything. And I'm quite emotional anyway, and I'm thinking, I'm in a gym, and I have this thing where if I get emotional, I'm instantly about to ball out. And then I end up messaging the lady later on saying, I need to control this. So I had this woman who does energy healing, and she gave me a tip that get your tongue and put it to the roof of your mouth and hold it there for a bit, or pinch here, so between your index finger and your thumb. So obviously I found that out in hindsight afterwards, but now I was like, at least I'm not just going to end up crying. But then, even that in my head, it's like, I was so worried that if I broke down in the gym, fucking hell mate, I would have had it. Do you know what I mean?
But that's funny, but if your wife had heard Princess Diana had died, and she started blurting, it'd be, come here, it's all right. We're up, but a bloke does it, Muhammad Ali died, or Robin Williams, when he died, I was going, bloody hell. And it knocks you for six, doesn't it? But if we'd have done it, I'm up here, unless it's my biological family or one of my best friends, they're going to go, I don't care, it's like, for God's sake, you don't know him.
Do you know what it is? It's almost as if like men are that mentality where it's better to be mourned than it is to live with shame and feel ashamed. You know what I mean? And it is crazy. You mentioned that Muhammad Ali. I damn near cried when that man died, because the only person I ever wanted to meet in my life was Muhammad Ali. I just found him so spectacular. And I can be an emotional guy. I mean, I watched Sons of Anarchy and that, the Bible thing. I hope he died. I hope he got killed. Mate.
I still got it.
I had to pause it and sit on the set. I was in bits, and my missus was sort of laugh. I don't know if I knew I wanted to console me or whether to laugh at me, because it's a character. But I think it is better to be mourned than it is to feel shame, because that shame, mate, is something we all go through.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of us go through it in silence, because some of the things we're shamed of, we don't even want to speak for fear of judgment.
But isn't it great having this platform here? I mean, we all met 6-7 months ago, probably, or three of us. We all obviously knew Kev, and we're openly just talking to a random guy who, let's be honest, I mean, we haven't even met each other's families, for example. we're speaking
You
live
ain't
to
even
whoever's
been there for a
watching.
beer.
Exactly, and we're saying I'll cry, you know, and
Yeah.
we're actually talking about more of the things that we probably would never have spoken to even our nearest and dearest.
Yeah.
And I actually find that or every time I leave this place, I'm always in a better space because I've got all those things that maybe I don't always feel comfortable telling the people I want to be telling, or if that makes sense.
No, we'd probably have walked past each other in the town.
Of course, mate.
So probably eyeball each other, not in a nasty way, but sizing each other up and then carry on about your business, because that's what we do. Yeah, women of like mind, and it shows the power of speak, but also the power of listening. Because I can talk for days, but I can also listen. You know what I mean?
What Aaron touched on saying it's lovely talking, but through this podcast I've had people contact me on my Facebook thing and on Instagram, and even just being up here and going, I think it's brilliant what you're doing, Kev. And these are the people I never thought would be listening to. They're Joe Blokes, people who I've probably never met. They go, I've suffered, I'm losing my vision, or I'm in a dark place, or I've got these thoughts, and then they'll either phone me or we message and we talk. And it's great that people now maybe haven't got what some of us have got, that great network of friends, but it's just reaching out. So if anyone has got messages or anything and you'd like us to talk about it, or one of the many weeks our fifth Black Country bloke is Nick Davis. You know what I mean? Even though he's not from the Black Country, he's from Coventry, but we'll have him in.
off.
You know.
He's decent at what he does, we'll let him in.
But if there are questions, and when he is on one of the weeks, if you send us messages, and then next time he's on, or counsellors, or the different people we have on, please get in touch, because there is no need to suffer now. And we were going to say something about social media, and I think there's so much. Now that we talk to, or we're in contact with more people than we ever would have been. When I grew up drinking the Prince Albert pub, there was 30, 50 people in there. Now you're in contact with thousands of people on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. So you've got more contact, but at the same time we're more alone. We are more frightened. If we put something on, we might get shot down, so I can't put that on. Or I get on there and I'm pissed and I go, well, actually I didn't like him. Bash, bash, bash. So that's what's breaking people down as well. And then the youths, the kids of today, when we were bullied, you were bullied at primary school, I was bullied at secondary school. But at least I know when I got home, I was with Mummy and Daddy and Rich, and Mike Tyson could have come in there and the Dylans would have killed him one way or another, and I knew I was safe. But now, if it was Jasmine, God please never happened to her, she could be there, not saying anything to Daddy, going, you're right, you've been playing with Aaron, Lee and Craig. And then she's been bullied all day. Then she sat there crying over what some twats are putting at her. And I think what I could do now, as a 36-year-old man who wasn't brought with it, I just wouldn't put my phone on. I'd get all, but because that social media is their right arm, they don't want to not be on it. And it must be so tough.
Because that causes a problem as well, if you're not on it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm having it at the minute. I mean, before Christmas, my son was having it, Troy was coming back, really upset, you know what I mean? And he just wore right for a bit, and then he broke down on the night. He broke down to us and he told us what was going on. Some kids above him, a few years older than him, was making fun of him, saying he's got elf ears and he's got big ears and saying all that.
I fucking joined the club.
Do you know what, mate, he broke down and he broke me.
Yeah.
And I went in the school the next day. I didn't take him with me. I said, Troy, I'm coming into school. I said, okay. I said, why? I said, because he's being picked on, and until I know that he's coming here and it's a safe environment for him, he ain't coming to school. And they did, bless them, they did sort it out. But we're having it now because of Xbox Live and playing this Fortnite thing, which I know I'm supposed to be 18 anyway. He's 7 going on 18 if that counts. But because he's got an headset on now, we're going on for Christmas. He's talking to his friends, and you can hear him getting irate and bickering with each other. And you think he's not got social media, but he's got the headset on the Xbox, so he talks to his friends, and then he's getting all right. And we have to take him off it, me and his mum, and say, look, you've got to come off, because
it's the same thing, isn't it?
I said games shouldn't be stressful, they should be fun. I said, and if you're stressing, it's because you've got the headset on, and I said, you're going to end up losing your friends at school. So your extracurricular activities at home are going to make it hard for you at school based on this technology, you know. When some would argue that, yeah, well, them kids, that's up to you as a parent and not allow them that, you know, but again, they get bullied then for not having it. So you're sort of in a stuck place. But we do regulate it quite well. You know, we have to.
On about bullying, I've known so many people here who come up here because they've been bullied, and I talk to the parents. And often it's Craig's a really good pupil, and Kev's vile. And Kev keeps bullying him. So what they do is they move Craig away from his friends and leave Kev to be vile. And I go, well,
Yeah.
Craig's done nothing wrong
That's
here.
the problem there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks
What
like
is-
he's done something.
What is,
Yeah.
and then
That's
he's
it.
going out, and then like Craig going, his dad's bringing up and going, Kev, teach me how to fight. And Craig's going, I don't want to fight, Dad. I don't want, because if I eat him, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm a good kid.
Yeah.
I'm getting A's in everything. If I eat Kev, he's go, and it must be so horrible. And you think, well, hang on, if Kev's the dickhead, take Kev away from his friends.
That's
and
it.
if he keeps doing it, get rid of him.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Why punish the kid who's being bullied anyway?
We always found that like mad at school, the school we went to, because you'd have like your set sixes and that who never did so well, you know, academically or whatever, or they were just naughty shits, and they'd go on like the quad biking and they'd go on this and we were stuck there revising for exam or doing all the work, and because they need extra attention or they ain't doing so well, they take them on the fucking quad biking. Shouldn't we be on the quad biking and they be learning more at school? And I think that's like the way they work. It's like that. I'll give it to him and show him up.
It's the
Yeah.
path.
The
of
easy
least
parenting
resistance,
kind of
isn't it?
style.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. The path of least resistance. And it's mad. I mean, everything's mad. None of us are perfect people, and none of us have got perfect systems. But the fact that we acknowledge and recognise there's flaws means there's somewhere that needs improving.
And that's what we want to encourage, I think, especially with this podcast, is to just put everything out there. Because we all have our dark days, we've all spoken about it privately or on here as well. And like Kev said earlier, you know, the more people that can reach out, follow the messages, even just trying talking or journaling. We mentioned 2 things today. I can't explain like how much my head is clear. And the days I don't do it, I'm an absolute mess. Like, I'm fine until something happens. And then, because I've got 300 things in my head that I need to do or I need to be doing, and then life hits you with something, I struggle. Whereas when I've journaled it, it's kind of like, it's gone from here and it's just gone, and my head's clear.
So you know, like just for people that have never journaled before,
It's right in the diary, isn't it?
what would you journal? Would
Pretty
you do
much.
it? Oh, I think this, so I'm going to write.
So I
into
do it at night. So at night, what I'll do is I'll do gratitude first, like 3 things that I'm grateful for, and it's not necessarily like my bed, my hot water in the shower, and my wife, which I've written previously, but it's got to be something. And Nick's taught me this as well. I've spoken to Nick about it as well. You need to like feel it as well, and you need to not just write it for the sake of writing it. So really, like on that day, what was like for today, I'm grateful for this conversation. You know, we've all taken time out, and I feel better coming here. I'm grateful I can still walk. I had a bad back, for example, earlier, so I'm grateful like it's nothing serious. And you write that down. Then what I do is I just dump. Honestly, my head is like, it's probably like yours in terms. I've got ideas. I've got like 30 blog ideas just off the conversation we've had here. I've got how I'm going to edit this video and get the right thing out of it here. Then I've got Find Your Voice coming out Thursday. I need to get that out of the way. Then I've got to go on site tomorrow. I've got like 300 things on my nan, X, Y, Z. So then it's like, scribble it down. Because when I go put my head on the pillow, I don't want none of that coming to the pillow with me. Then what I do is I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I do in the first like 10 minutes is I'll do a to-do list. And on that to-do list is, what do I have to accomplish? Like, if all else, you know, goes to pot, I have to go on site because that's my job. I have to go see my nan because she's not well, and that's pretty
So
much
you
it.
forget the importance.
Exactly that, and I've got to hit them first. So there's a great book by Brian Tracy. It's called Eat That Frog. So normally, what he says in that, you want to do the most important task on the day, and sometimes that's normally the task we don't want to do, or we kind of put it to the side. You know that phone call you got to make, or that email you got to send. You often kind of procrastinate. So then I put that down, and then I'll look at the other stuff, and I'm like, well, is that really important? Is that worth stressing about? But honestly, I mean, I've only been doing it for about 2 weeks, because I spoke to a healing lady again. I'm always fascinated by trying to work on myself, and she was explaining, even when I was around her, so she does like Reiki and stuff, and she's like, your nervous energy is incredible. She's like, when I'm around you, I can feel like your anxiety, and she's like, and I get like health problems, and I work out like, you know, sometimes like 10, 14 times a week. I try and eat right for most of my diet. I look after myself, I hydrate, and I'm like, why do I still get ill? Like, every time we speak, I'm ill within like every few days. And she was like, some of it's connected to your gut. So when you're eating nutritious food, it's not being digested into your system because of the way you are. So she actually
They
gave me
call
this
it the
idea.
second brain, don't
That's
they?
it, absolutely, second brain. So in order to sort my health and my gut out, I need to clear my head and my anxiety. It's crazy, and there's probably people listening who have that same kind of mind where it's overreactive and stuff.
Yeah.
Get it on paper. It's like goals. We can think of them in here, but you know that thing, if you write them down, you're something like, I don't know what the stats are, probably like 70% or something more likely to achieve them goals once you write them down.
I watched something what you were just saying about it. It's a thing on Facebook or it's on YouTube. I think I shared it with the Black Country Blokes page, and it's a professor, and he gets this jar, and he gets some golf balls, and he goes, puts the golf balls in. He goes, is that full? No, everyone goes, yeah, it's full. And he goes, hang on, gets a bag of gravel, pours it in, and he goes, is it full? They go, yeah, it's full. He goes, hang on, gets a bag of sand, pours it in, he goes, is it full? And he goes, yeah, and he gets a beer, and he pours it in, and it's full to brim. He goes, the balls are your health, your family, your ambitions. He goes, they're the important things in. They've got to go in first. Otherwise you can't fit them around everything else. The gravel is your house, is your car, your bits and bobs that you aim for. And the sand is just all the rest of the bullshit that blocks our day. But you put them in the wrong order. You put the sand in first, you can't get the cars, the houses. Then you can't get the important things in. Absolutely. And so he goes, what's the beer? And he goes, well, we've always got time for a beer.
Yeah.
But isn't it right? If you put the wrong things in the wrong order, and I think that's where we get lost. We focus on the bullshit. Yeah. We focus on, oh, fucking hell, I'm not making enough money, so we went out to go to Mexico this year. And then Kate's going to be upset, and then Jack, don't matter, it's a holiday. Yeah. You know what I mean? As long as we're well, we're healthy. Yeah. If we're not making enough money, there's places to go and get your finances in order. If you haven't got the £250 a week, they can stretch out to 10 years, to 5 years. It's only a holiday. It's only a piece of metal we drive. It's only a brick and mortar that we sleep in. And I think sometimes we get lost in this, the golden handcuffs. And there's ways around it, gang. In your dark days, and I always think it's about completing suicide. For you, it is a way out. For those buggers around you, it isn't. Because your children think, how could I save dad? Your husband, your wife, how could I have stopped it? Your parents, your friends down the boozer, the people in the gym. And my friends who've completed suicide, you sit there thinking, fucking hell.
You're moving that stress down, aren't you? So if you're worried about money, that money doesn't stop because you die. They still want that pain back. So it'll just go down to your wife. It moves on.
I think it's like, you know, something I've started saying a lot lately to people that keep shit to themselves. You know, burying your head in the sand, you're likely to get your arse kicked. Yeah. And that's what I've found lately. Like that. You know what I mean? You're leaving yourself exposed. You need to know what's going on and get your head in the game, because everything happens, everything exists around you. And it's in your life, and obviously for a reason, whether it's your finances or your family or your troubles or whatever. But it's what, like you just said about the golf balls, it's a sequence. Everything is gonna be there regardless. You just need to put them in the correct sequence. You know, to make your life a little bit easier and less stressful.
And by saying all this, I don't need to feel guilted into not completing suicide. I'm trying to encourage you to find ways to find solutions for these things, because guilt's another thing that can drive us to insanity or something heinous. So I don't want you to have that guilt, because guilt's a bastard, it's a monkey on your back. So we've got to find ways to find peace for ourselves, and if we have peace for ourselves, we'll have peace with the universe. And the only way of doing that is by seeking help.
Has anyone here considered suicide?
I've considered a few times over the years.
I kind of attempted it once, or I thought I did, back in 2009. My worst ever year on this planet. Yeah. I didn't have my kids then, and I was abusing steroids. I was on steroids and whatever else. So I was pumped up, but I was fucked up at the same time. And a lot of people I spoke to says, steroids over that to you, steroids over this. They did. I abused steroids and they did. And I did. I took loads of tablets. There was only like your paracetamol, your ibuprofen, whatever was there. I must have took about 70 tablets. And
did you think it would work when you took it?
I did actually. Okay. And the only thing it did was I was really ill. I fetched black bile up. Because it was at a time when Eminem sung Beautiful. Don't let us say you. I used to have a Frontier Sport, and I used to have that on my phone, and I put my earphones in while I was driving, never even bothered with the radio, blocked everything. I used to go by the cemetery in Smithy Lane in Gornal. And I used to just sit by the gate to listen to that song on repeat over and over for hours and hours and hours. And that was by far my worst year. And that was when my problems started actually. Back end of 08, all of 2009, and I've never been right since. Learned to contain it a lot more. So yeah, I did kind of attempt it, and I'd have been, what, 21 years of age or coming.
You think what you'd have missed out on at this point if that had
My beautiful boy, you know what I mean? And I understand that now, but at the time,
Oh,
and I still, like even of late, even last year, I don't know if it was you I spoke to, or you know, I said that I'll go in that place still, you know, and I still think, and I start setting up plans then that right, I need to look after my boys financially. How am I going to do that? Because obviously I provide. And I start coming up with plans. And I probably can say, because it's probably insurance fraud if I ever did it. But I started thinking, if I get life insurance and then make sure it's an accident, they get a lump sum and I'll get, you know, and I start like strategizing this plan in my head, and I go into detail, and that's the way I work. Like I overanalyze things, and if I want to do something, it's usually properly. So meticulously, I'll lie in bed and I'll cry, and I'll meticulously be planning this. I'm thinking like this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then luckily, like with my partner or with you guys and that, I see the light, you know, and it's not always a train coming, you know, and I'll come out of it and I think, fuck me.
You need another mechanism there, like another route, because if that's always your route, what happens when you hit the financial figures that you want to hit, say through your music or whatever you do? So you have that stability and your kids are sorted. If God forbid anything ever happened to you, then what you're going to do next time you have a bad week, month, year? Is that the only path you need to now? Like even like now, moving forward from today, have some other path, like we're telling other people.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that, because I always say to my partner, once I've made it, we've got enough money, we're stable enough, moving my family up with a level, I always say when I'm at that times, I say, that's my purpose done. I don't give a fuck what happens to me after that. And I say it constantly to her.
That's the Tyson Fury scenario, isn't it? When he beats Klitschko.
Yeah,
but then you've got to find something else to aim for, haven't you? You know, you've got to have the follow-up album, you've got to think, now I'm going to start talking about, now I've got the financial backing, now I'm going to push for this podcast to get bigger, I'm going to become a radio DJ. You've got to keep...
You will. I think you're an ambitious person anyway, in your music. For example, if you've got goals in your music, I can't see you finally achieving them after all the graft you put in, and then not saying, hold on a minute, I think I can get that one now.
Yeah.
Or hold on, I can get that one.
Yeah. On another note, you might find that you're settled then, because you've achieved that, and you can stop and be with your kids and do the things you want if you're at that point.
See, I said to like Jay, it knows me, and I said, if my music got big, I'd look at acting. If that got big, I'd look at writing screenplay. Yeah. If that got big, I'd look at owning my own shit. I'm always pushing forward, but when I have the dark days, if I make it, and then, like you just said, and then financially stable, that's when I hit a point where I think, I've served my purpose.
That's when you've got to have...
It don't matter what happens to me.
That's when you've got to have us lot or someone, your missus, keep going, all right then, this chapter of your life is over, so let's write the next page. Let's get into the next bit now.
Do you know what's mad like? I think it's because I don't fear death. I'm not scared of death in the slightest. I fear my boys being without their hero, their someone they love, and that plays on my heartstrings. Because if it wasn't for them, who knows what would have happened, you know? And I know it's all speculative now, but I don't fear death. I'm not scared of dying. What I fear is not achieving a level that I deem of success within me, or some kind of achievement before I die. Having an impact on the world, that's what I fear more before I die. If I don't have that, that's the only thing I fear. So
I was never frightened of death until I had Jasmine, and now I don't want her not to have a daddy. You know what I mean? And I want to be there for her, not to achieve, to look after her. You know what I mean? So she does need anything, by hook or by crook, I'll do whatever's necessary to look after my own, my Kate and Jasmine. I feel like that's my purpose.
Gone the other way. So once Calla was born, death was me now.
Yeah.
Not at all. No, it doesn't.
It's mad how, like...
What is it?
Because I've got more things to be afraid of, to be totally honest. You know, the thought of my daughter, passing, you know, that's... So it doesn't scare me. That's a scarier thought, being in this world without her, than it is me not being here. And I know that doesn't mean I'm going to go out and do anything by any stretch, but that it just doesn't scare me.
Because
off the other way.
you touched on saying that you having to had it before. What was that over?
See, I had that before. So I had that before my daughter. So I had mental health issues years and years, and the suicidal thoughts stopped once I had her, because now I know. There's more to, there's, even with my other two kids, there's more to it. There's more. I've got to look after her. I had to look after my other two kids without doubt, but she requires more care, so that stopped.
Yeah. The selfishness stopped.
Yeah, that's it.
Why
that's
am I
it.
going to do this?
And I see her strength, and I think, hey, how could I go out like that when this little precious little thing goes through all she goes through? How do you? Because it's things still do get on top of me quite often, but it's now more to do with what's going on with my daughter than it is about normal things in life that used to get on top of me. So although I still worry about money, it's not really, it's down here now, whereas before it was up here.
If you need to eat beans on toast, you'll eat beans on toast.
That's it. It's just it's all swapped around. So yeah, I still do think about money and think, Christ, it's Christmas coming up, but or is that?
Ain't that normal?
I think it's mad to think of it. I've probably going to mash this quote up probably a long time ago, and it was the simplicity of our understanding is no match for the complexities of our mind, and I think we need to understand that. Stop driving yourself crazy trying to understand yourself, and like this podcast here, it's not us just ranting and telling our side. You're encouraging people to come on board, so as they haven't necessarily got to worry about the complexities of their understanding, so they don't have to think like you thought or I thought or whatever, because like you say, there's bigger things to worry about than your own, what would you call them, your own
demons? I don't know.
We'll call it the demons.
It's your mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just on that, sorry, I just quickly went into my Audible account. There's a great book, I'll try and put it in the show notes if I remember. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and it's basically what you were just saying there. So it's by a guy, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's incredible. If you YouTube him, so if somebody doesn't want to watch the book, just YouTube Dr. Joe, Dispenza, and he's got incredible things about why we are the way we are as in just ourselves. Because what we effectively do is we go through life, and a circumstance or a situation will plant a wire in your head. And the more you see that, the more it kind of becomes hardwired into your head, if that makes sense. Yeah. And it's effectively pulling all that shit out that we don't want to move us forward into where we want to go to. It's a brilliant book. It's helped my wife massively with her anxiety and her stress as well. I've read it once before. I probably need to read it again as well. So I recommend that.
As you were saying, if you only ever saw your dad knocking him on about, first time you think, that's what. But if he keeps doing it, it's hardwired in your mind.
It's normal behaviour, isn't it?
And like we've had Jasmine, she could Daddy, you've been a prince, you can rescue me. Hey, you ain't got to wait for no man to come and rescue you. And I'm always saying stuff like that, saying you don't need no man to look after you. And I'll be the nurse, you've been a
You just don't want to have a boyfriend, let's be honest.
Nobody's like, you've been a doctor, can I be the nurse? You'll be a doctor, you'll be. And I say, there ain't nothing you can't do. And people will say, but you got a boxing. I went, I don't want Jasmine's first thing. Someone says something to them. So I've had that all my life, parts conflict. When I eat someone, I think, shit, I shouldn't have eaten. I'm going to get in trouble with the old bill. Or if I don't eat them, I feel like a pussy. So I don't want Jasmine having that. I want her, she'll always learn how to box. As she grows up and she'll do fitness, she competes. So she'll always do it, but I don't want it to be a natural thing of, he's done this, hit him. And I eat all the time up here. Well, if you hit him back. I went, that's your last resort. Violence is. And there is some people who need a fucking good eye. But it's not everyone. It's not because he beat me to jump out the car, pull him out the car in front. It's not nice. It's not civilised, But if you're being severely bullied, you can strike back, but try and get around it in other ways first.
I think, like you say, it's about, without sounding arrogant or you being one of them parents that snooty or whatever, it's about letting your child know that they're above the conflict.
Yeah.
As such, not everything's going to get resolved by shouting, bawling or fighting. It's not. What you're going to do, you're going to feed your ego or, and it's not. I mean, like my boys, I'll ask them, especially Troy, since he was old enough to talk, I'll say, what am you? And he'll say, King. I'll say, what's daddy? And I have a joke now, I'll say, Romeo and Troy and Kings, Daddy's God, and Mommy's the maid. I don't like me for it. But yeah, I'll say, well, remember, I'll say Kings, say what's Dad, I'll say God. And but
Yeah.
that's the mentality I want them to have. I want them to believe them Kings. And they're never going to be, mind you, there is an opening for it. There's an opening for it all now. But it's about letting them know that, look, that's how you are a king. They are kings.
But
Kings
also,
in my world.
I
you
also
know.
say to Jasmine, what's more important, being beautiful or kind? And she always says kind. And I think that's just a lovely little thing because
Yeah.
everyone's always, especially little girls, oh, you are beautiful. Oh, Jasmine, you are pretty.
Because kind is beautiful.
But I say, but what's more important? She goes, being kind, Daddy. And I mean, that's a lovely message that we can give our children.
It's preventative. I think that teaching them that and speaking to them on that level and teaching them what you've just said about like the conflict, that's preventative behaviour, and that's how you change the way the world works, is by starting with the seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you keep trying to change these old heads, no, you know, back in my day, just thump them and this, that and the other, you're never going to get anywhere. You need to hit the seeds and let them blossom into this new world, new society. So I think that's a nice thing
To end with.
yeah.
Has anyone got a little quote or should we just round
I
up?
have got one if nobody else has.
No,
you
that's
might
good.
answer that.
But again, it just come from the last few days, and I just seen it on Twitter. But it just says, leaving your home and getting back safely is an underrated blessing. And I think, especially after the Kobe incident as well.
Yeah, that's
And it sounds really weird, but like the last 2 days, every time I leave the house now, when I'm in and out, I say to the missus, this is a blessing, and I appreciate it.
yeah.
Like, I don't know how long that will last for, but I think if we all have that emphasis, and you know, we keep that in mind moving forward,
yeah.
we'll just be a lot more present and grateful.
Especially that 78%.
Absolutely.
And don't be frightened to tell people how much you love them. Like whenever my dad's off travelling around the world with GB, or every time, I always give him a big cuddle. Two tough men, I give him a kiss and go, love you, Dad, have a safe trip.
Yeah.
And every time I talk to my brother in Thailand, and my old pals, give him a cuddle, give him a kiss, go, love you, brother. Because one day,
That's it.
one of us ain't going to be here. So never feel like we have to hold on to this. Well, I never told him he loved him, but I knew I did.
Yeah.
If you have the chance, tell him you love him.
I think I tell you every week, mate.
Oh, that's it.
Voice notes.
So, love everyone out there and thank you for watching. So until next week, gang, ta-ra a bit.
Listen.
And that's a wrap for another show. But if there are any comments or messages that you would like us to read out for our next podcast, please be in touch. There are also lots of different organisations at the bottom of this page, and hopefully they can help you or someone you care about. Please share this to spread the word. Until we talk next time, ta-ra a bit.
Listen.